welcome everyone to the Successfit team call. I know we have a few more hopping on here, but thank you guys for being here tonight. I'm extra excited because of our amazing guest speaker, KINSEY, who is like I feel like one of the people that I started in this journey with. And so I kind of feel like we grew up Beachbody together. That's how it seems to me. Like we've had our Beachbody education together, and we kind of hit the same stumbles and work through them at the same time. So we still talk like a success partnership every couple weeks, pretty much. We get on calls, and I always learn so much from her. If you don't follow her, you should check out her page. It's Kickboxing, KL, and Kiddos. She's a mom of 3 boys. And as I said, in the last few years since we've both started coaching, she's done a lot of travel. And I know that's something that I kind of shared with you guys in the snapshot of tonight's call is so much happens in our lives outside of this coaching journey and this business that we're building. And it can have an effect on how you run your business, right? Like emotionally and how much time you have. And she has managed to still have a very successful business. She's a Success Club 10 All-Star legend and a Star Diamond coach. And she's got like over 8,000 followers on her Kickboxing, KL, and Kiddos page. And they're very engaged followers, which I think is the most valuable piece. Her videos are amazing. She's a personal trainer. Her nutrition stuff is incredible. And her boys are so darn cute. And we had a lot of fun last year on the Beachbody cruise. So I am so excited to welcome her tonight and have her hop on and share with you guys sort of her tips about, well, I called it, when you need to get the funk out of a funk, but I'll let her take it away here. So, but if you have questions, put them in the comments or feel free to unmute at the end. She's very nice. And
well, it depends on who you ask. If my kids walk through that door, you'll see I'm not very nice because I warned them, you are not allowed to come in here.
Oh yeah, it's not bedtime right now.
No,
okay, thanks,
Kara. Who knows what they're doing? But Brea, you are so sweet. It's so like weird when people talk about you because you're like, no, that's not me. Like I'm a total hot mess, you guys. Like, so as Brea mentioned, we've kind of started about the same time. And the funny thing is Emma kind of is our upline coach, and she assigned us a Success Club, Success Partners, and we were kind of like, both of us weren't really quite ready to run the business yet, and we kind of, anyways, put it off, and kind of like she said, kind of had gone through the same thing. So she kind of mentioned a little bit about me, but I have been a coach. I signed up to be a discount coach a really long time ago. My husband was in the Marine Corps. So why wouldn't you sign up for the discount, right? I told Emma, I said, please don't talk to me about coaching. Like, that's not my thing. I'm not into being the annoying friend. And so she did it. And it wasn't really until I started using the products and I joined a group after I had my second baby and my husband deployed that I figured, you know what, I actually really like this stuff and coaches actually really are helping people. And I kind of started out as the hobby thing. And then in 2014 is when I kind of jumped into coaching. And so like Brea mentioned, I've had a crazy, since I've started coaching, we've had moves from Hawaii to Ohio to Arizona. We've bought a house, we've sold a house. We've had a lot of like husband working out of town, 10 months out of 12 last year, and just some craziness. And so Brea asked me to talk a little bit today about, funks, because I feel like I've had a lot of funks in this business, but I'm still here. And so I wanted to share just a little bit of like getting out of those funks, but also preventing those funks of just little things. When life is crazy and life's throwing all these curveballs at you, you have a couple options. You can give in and you can quit, which so many people in this business do. Or you can choose to not. You can do certain things like like I said, kind of share today and kind of pull yourself out of those and keep moving forward. And I've learned in this business that a step forward is still a step forward, even if it's a really small baby step. And I feel like the past 3 years, I feel like that's all I've been doing is like sometimes I'm crawling and sometimes my steps are so tiny, but I've still been stepping forward. And it's been able to, like Brea said, grow at least replace my income from my last job. And I'm not quite where Brea is yet, but those step forwards really do add up, even when they're tiny. So, okay, I want to first kind of talk about, excuse me, is kind of I think there's two types of funks, at least I've found myself in. Just so I kind of know who I'm talking to here, how many of you have been a coach for less than 6 months? A couple of you. Awesome. Welcome. Welcome to the best job ever. How many of you less than a year, like 6 to 12 months? Okay. What about a year to 2 years? And more than 2 years? Anyone? Okay, cool. So we're kind of all, some of you are brand new and some of you have a little bit more time. So even if you've been in there for a month or a year, you'll know that this business is a roller coaster. That's part of being an entrepreneur, is there's really high highs and there's really low lows. And no matter where you're at in this business, you've probably already experienced a funk. Or if you haven't yet, if you're still kind of on the like high of like just starting out and being excited, you're going to hit a low. And there's going to be a time when you're in a funk. We all go through it, no matter how long you've been a coach or how short you've been a coach, there's going to be those times. So the kind of, I think it's good to know that right off the bat. I think sometimes when we talk about coaching, or you see all these coaches talking about coaching, you're like, it sounds so amazing and it sounds so awesome. And I remember when I first started watching my upline share all these amazing things about coaching, and I was thinking, this is not, like, I can't relate to that. Like, what I'm going through right now is really hard and it's not really that fun. And I felt like I was in this funk of like trying to be where she was at, and it just, anyways, so just knowing that, I think right off the bat, knowing you're going to go through funks is a big part of overcoming them, is expecting them and not expecting it to always be high. So when the lows hit, you're kind of more prepared, right? It's like what we tell our challengers, like there's going to be temptations, there's going to be hard times. What are you going to do when those times hit, right? Okay, so that's kind of the first thing. So I want to first talk about the daily funks. When you kind of just find yourself where you have a day where you're just not motivated, or you're just not in the mood, you just feel like laying on the couch all day. We all go through those days. And I do think there are times when it's okay to take a day off and to kind of allow yourself to feel those feelings. But I think it's really dangerous when a day can turn into 2 days, which can turn into 5 days, which can turn into a month. And the next thing you know, you're so far off track and you're quitting. And I've seen that happen so many times, and I'm sure Bria has too, is where coaches, they say, you know, I just need a little break because I'm going through this and this and this. And I get that. I've been there. But I think, like I said, I think it can be dangerous if we don't pull ourselves out of that funk, because that can turn into a week, that which it could turn into so much longer. Once you stop pumping that well, it's like that. If you guys have ever read The Compound Effect, he talks about pumping the well. Once you get that thing going, it goes pretty easy. Once you stop, it's really hard to get going again. And so I think the 1 day funk, okay, that's fine. Hey, nope. Shoo. Is it okay? Sure, but I can't help you. Shoo, shut the door. Little stinkers. Mom, can we play PlayStation? Anyways, so I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, but what I was saying, oh yeah, to keep that well pumping. So have any of you read this book, The Miracle Morning? Raise your hand if you've read it. Bria is the only one. Okay, all right. I'm actually kind of glad, because I'm going to talk a lot from this book, and I don't want it to be like, I just am already read this, lady. Like, I don't want it to be a total repeat of everything you already know. So this is my section that's about kind of getting out of those daily funks, or kind of preventing the funks from happening. Because I do think it kind of is a choice. Like, you can kind of choose, like I said, to give into it, or you can choose to not. So this is a book called The Miracle Morning, and he talks in here something, he calls them the life savers. And the whole idea is this is how you start off your morning every day, kind of on that positive, happy note. And I have been doing this for, I would say, how long? I've been doing this for almost 2 years, maybe, at least 1.5 years. And I really think that doing this every day, going through so much stuff the past year, has really kept me out of, I think I would have been in a lot bigger funk if I wasn't doing these things every single day, choosing to overcome my funk, choosing to be happy and to move forward. And even if it's a small step, to keep moving forward. So I don't know if you guys are note takers. So the acronym, like I said, he uses is Life Savers. And the S all stands for, yes, thank you, Bria, American Morning by Hal Elrod. So he breaks it down into the savers is kind of how you remember this routine. So the S stands for silence. So you wake up every morning and you start with just sitting in silence, meditation or prayer. Excuse me. So he kind of talks about in here how there's been proven studies of just sitting in silence, blocking out the world, blocking out any sort of your thoughts, all the things that you have to do, your stress, and just focusing on the moment. Purposeful silence, whether that's praying, whether that's, like I said, meditation, of what that can do to reduce your stress and just get your mind right for the day. So I personally start this off. This only takes me a few minutes. I start off doing just praying. If you're not the praying type, then meditation is kind of what he recommends. So that's the very first thing, is just getting your mind right, getting your mind quiet, blocking out everything, the noise of the world and the to-do list. I know that's constantly like, sometimes I just wake up stressed, like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I think just blocking that out for a minute. The second thing he talks about, the A of savers, is affirmations. So affirmations, I don't know if any of you guys do those, but the first time I heard them, I thought they were really strange and really weird, because you're literally saying out loud to yourself, like, I'm awesome. And like, who does that? Like, it's weird, but they actually are really powerful. You do, Sharon. Good. So do I. So we can be weird together, but we'll be happy and positive weirdos together, right? No, I'm just kidding. But so affirmations, essentially what they are. So he talks about here how your self-talk, the way you talk to yourself, has so much power over your life, how you live your life, your success, your confidence, happiness, wealth, relationships. They're either working for you or against you. And you guys have heard that quote all the time. I was a teacher before I was a coach, and I would use this one with my students all the time, from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And they'd say, I can't do this. And you say, you're right with that attitude. If you don't believe you can, of course you can't. And I think sometimes we face those where we have those negative thoughts all the time of, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. What am I thinking? And we start talking back to ourselves, and we start believing that. And that starts making us get deeper and deeper in that funk, right? And so I think every morning, starting off and reminding yourself of your truth, because all those negative thoughts, those aren't true. Those are, our affirmations are what remind us of our real truth. I know I fall into this funk all the time where I start comparing myself to other coaches. I did just the other day, my son was sick, so he was sleeping with me, and I couldn't sleep, of course, because he's tossing and turning and whacking me. So I was on my phone, and I started scrolling through, looking at some Facebook pages of some top coaches, who, by the way, I have to add, are like nothing like me. Like, one of them doesn't have any kids and all this stuff. And here I am comparing myself to her, when really, how could I compare? Totally different, right? And I seriously started almost crying as I'm like looking through all these coaches, and I'm feeling like I am a loser. Like, look how cool they are, and they're so put together. Right? Like, why would anyone ever want to follow me when they could follow this? And I started having all these really negative thoughts about myself. So of course I wake up the next morning and I'm feeling in a total funk because I didn't get any sleep, and because I'm telling myself that I'm not good enough to do this, and who do I think I am, and I can't be successful like them because I'm totally different than them. And doing these affirmations was one of the things that helped me immediately come out of that, because it was reminded me of what my truth is, that I do have stuff to offer people. I do have great things about me, and it's enough. And so if you guys don't do affirmations, kind of the whole idea behind it is you can do it several different ways. So the way that I kind of started off with my affirmations is writing down things that I was maybe insecure about. So for example, write down I am an awesome coach, and saying that out loud to yourself, saying it with vigor, I am an awesome coach, or saying I am successful and I can help others be successful too, or whatever it is that you feel like maybe you doubt yourself, like maybe you doubt your ability to help others be successful. That might be something you want to remind yourself, is that you can help others do that. Another thing that I do, sorry, I'm getting toasty in here. I take this off. is I set an alarm on my phone for 12 o'clock noon every day. And my son actually just asked me yesterday, my 4-year-old, he's like, Mommy, why do you say that every day? Because I set an alarm on my phone to go off at noon. And every day I say out loud, I say, I am attracting rock star coaches and I have a rock star team. And my son's like, why do you always say that? And I'm like, because I have to remind myself that something, whatever you need to constantly remind yourself. It's like that law of attraction of what you put out, you bring more in. What you focus on grows. If you're constantly focusing on the things you don't do well, you're constantly focusing on your insecurities, that's what you're going to attract more of. And that's what you're going to, if you guys have ever seen the movie The Secret, totally cheesy, but totally, I believe the concept of what you focus on grows. And if you're constantly telling yourself these positive things, I'm a great coach. I'm attracting amazing people. I help people get awesome results, or whatever it is. If you're constantly saying that, you're constantly reminding yourself of that, you're going to constantly be attracting that. And like I said, I think it's one of those things that definitely brings you out of that funk. Because I've had that happen so many times where I'm feeling down and I'm feeling like a loser, comparing myself. And then I remind myself of my truth. And it gives me that vigor to keep going on my day and being me and being genuine and offering what and only I can offer. So that's the A in the Lifesavers affirmations. The V is visualization. So I know Bria's probably talked to you guys about this a lot because we talk about this a ton, is knowing your why and having a vision for where you want your future to go. So I think sometimes I know before I really was clear on what my vision is, I found myself constantly kind of just in a funk because I didn't really know what I was working for, and I didn't feel motivated, of course, there was no really like purpose behind my actions. And it's hard to feel excited and motivated and inspired when you are just kind of doing actions, but they don't have a bigger purpose. So if you guys haven't yet, that's one of the first things that I have my coaches do is create your vision. I'm doing a training right now from the author of the book, The 12-Week Year. His name is Brian Moran. And that is the very first, he spent an hour talking to us about this, talking about vision and saying, you have to sit down and make the time to write a list and say, who do I want to be in the next 5 years? What do I want to do? What do I want to become? He says, do, have, and become. And just sit down and write that list. Do it for your short term, 2 to 3 years. Do it for your longer 5 years, and do it for your even longer term. And I think doing that really helped me because I'm excited to wake up in the mornings. Well, most of the time. Sometimes I'm not. I'm not Bria who's up at 4:30. I get up at 5. But most of the time I jump out of bed and I'm excited because I know what I'm working for. And like I said before, when I wasn't clear on that, when I kind of I knew I wanted something better, I knew I wanted something more, but I wasn't super specific. It was a lot harder to stay motivated and stay excited and to fall into funks a lot more. So that's something, if you guys haven't done yet, get out a piece of paper and start writing your list. What do you, this is what he had us do. He had us write it in present form. So saying, this is how I spend my days. This is how people view me. These are the skills I have. This is how I live my life. This is how my kids are. To get super specific. Hey, you need to go downstairs.
I can't figure out how to turn on.
I know you can't. You need to watch Netflix because I can't help you do that right now. It's the saddest face ever, huh? I'm such a mean mom.
At least he
anyway,
listened.
so
that's impressive.
What?
He listened. Oh no.
How do you turn on do these?
I don't know. You have to push the input button. Daddy should be home pretty soon.
Could I call him and ask Mom? Yes.
No, you can wait. Go downstairs. Yes, you can. Rivers, 1. Oh my goodness. What was I even saying? Oh, the visualization. So if you haven't yet, that's something I think is just going to help you overall in your business. So when you do get in those funks, it's going to be so much easier to pull yourself out because you know why you're doing this. You're very clear on what you want in life, who you want to be, the things you want to have. And when you have that very clear vision, like I said, it makes keep going a lot easier. And I think, like I've said, I've seen so many coaches give up. And I know a lot of it is because they don't know why they're doing this. They don't have something working for, and they don't have that purpose and that drive. Sorry, I'm missing comments. If you guys say anything important, Bria, just stop me.
I will.
So that's
everyone's relating to what you're going.
Just relating. Okay. Oh boy.
A good comment on where to get the books on Amazon.
The books, yes, on Amazon. So going back just to vision really quick, making a vision board, I think is a really easy way because it's something visual you can look at, you can connect with every day. Brian said in our training that that's something we should be looking at multiple times a day is your vision. So when you're feeling those like, I don't want to do this. Do I have to seriously send more invites? Or maybe I'm the only one who does that. But you can look at this and say, you know what, this is what I'm working for. This is the big picture, and these are just the small steps that are going to get me there and to keep going forward. So that's the third one. I start my morning off every day. I look at my little paper, I close my eyes, and I think how I'll feel in that when that time comes, right? And remind myself of what I'm working towards. Okay, the E stands for exercise. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that considering that's our job is to exercise. But I will throw in, I think and I think you guys have probably all noticed this, when we get super off track with our eating and with our exercise, you start to feel like crud. And it's really easy to get in a funk when you're feeling yucky and icky and blah. Like I know like just no other better way to describe it besides just like blah. So I think that's a huge one. Is if you're in a funk to really step back and analyze how's your eating, how's your working out, and to get back on track with that makes a huge difference. And then R is for reading, personal development. I know for me too, those times when I've been in a funk, maybe I was reading personal development, but it wasn't what exactly I needed at that time. It was maybe a book somebody said was good, so I picked it up and read it, but it wasn't what I needed. And I notice in those times, just switching my personal development to something that I actually needed in that moment can easily pull me out of those funks, is getting the right personal development. And I'm a huge believer in that, of not just reading something because Bria said it was good or whatever, but reading something that you actually need at that time in your life. And so, I mean, I don't need to go into that. You guys, we know all about personal development, but I think that's the quickest way to pull yourself out of a funk. And when I find my coaches are in funks, that's the first thing one of the first things I ask them is, what workout program are you doing? Are you actually doing it? How's your eating? And then I ask them, what do you do personal development? And a lot of times they'll say, well, I'm not really doing it. Okay, well, that's exactly where you need to start. You need to get your mind right. And then just the last one he writes down is S of the lifesavers, is scribing, which is journaling. So what I do every morning is I write in a gratitude journal. Where is it? I don't know where it is. My desk is a disaster right now. But just writing in a gratitude journal of things I'm grateful for. And I find that all those things, when you do them together, of your affirmations and your silence, and you remind yourself of your purpose, and you're feeding your mind with positivity and with motivation, and then you're writing down things that you're grateful for. You're moving your body, you're exercising it. Like, I really feel like that is like funk prevention right there. When we're doing those things, it's a lot harder. We're going to stay out of those funks because we're constantly, hold on, I got to shut my door, you guys. They're yelling downstairs. I can't concentrate. Just a second. I
love that funk prevention. I think that's so awesome.
Sorry. Oh boy, I'm scared to go downstairs after this. It's going to be a disaster. Anyway, so that was kind of the first thing I wanted to share, is just kind of that daily, those daily items we could do to prevent the funks. And if you're just kind of having one day of a funk, to jump in and do those things. And for me, like I said, I feel like that has been key. If I would have started my every morning off the past year doing these things, I think I would have probably given into that funk, because life is always throwing things at you. This business, like I said, is really high and really low. And sometimes, I mean, Bria can attest to it. Like, I'll message her sometimes just totally like so frustrated, and that's part of the business. We're all going to go through times where you are crying, times when you're just mad, times you're sad, and that's part of the business. And you could either let it get you down, or you, like I said, you could keep going. Something else I did want to share is kind of the bigger funks that we sometimes experience. So I think the reason Bria asked me to talk about this is the beginning of the year. I ended last year, I was in the top 200, so I ended at 188 in the company, but I didn't get Premier and I didn't get Elite because I couldn't anyways, I had troubles with my diamonds, keeping diamond. And I was really frustrated because that was a goal. I worked so hard. I showed up every morning at 5 o'clock and I worked my butt off, and I knew we could do it, and we were so close, but we didn't get it. And I mean, you could ask Bria, but it really like started messing with my mind, and I got in this really big funk of I don't know, like I stopped recruiting coaches because I was doubting myself so much. Like, I don't know how to train coaches, obviously, because none of them are, and I was just really got in this really big funk. I was still hitting Success Club. I was still doing these daily things. So I still was kind of putting positivity out in the world and that type of thing. But as far as my business goes, I was in just this huge funk. And at the same time, there was just a lot going on in my life with moving. We just moved to a brand new place. My best friend from college got in a fatal car wreck, and 2 kids died, and I wasn't sure if she was going to live, and she was pregnant, and they had to deliver her baby. It was just one thing after another. My son broke his arm. It was like, oh my gosh, like I got in this huge, like I said, this huge funk. Like I could not get out of it. And finally, I totally had a breakdown one day, and I was like bawling and just crying and letting it all out. And I think sometimes we just need that. I think sometimes we put on our coach hat and we feel like we always have to be positive, and we always have to be the ray of light for everybody else. And we always have to be the one pouring from our well. And sometimes that really, really gets down on you, on me anyways. And I feel like if you guys have seen the movie Inside Out, it's like, I'm joy. I'm totally joy. I'm always like, no sadness, no bad, no negativity, happiness all the time. And I think like the movie Joy, like in the movie Inside Out, like they make it clear, like you need to have all those emotions, and you need to allow yourself to still feel sadness and feel anger and feel frustration. And I think for me, when I was in that huge funk, I think it was because I was trying to prevent it so much and being that person of like always positive, that I had to let it out before I can move past the funk. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just wanted to throw that in there. I think like we can only do so much, and life is still going to sometimes get so heavy that we have to just allow ourselves to feel that and to have a good cry, take a day off, and then jump back in tomorrow. And it was crazy how taking that day of just literally crying like all day and just like allowing myself to feel that, the next day I woke up and I was like, oh man, I'm totally out of my funk. Like that was awesome. That was what I needed. I just needed to acknowledge my feelings and move on. So anyways, those were kind of my thoughts for tonight. Let me look over. I have these little chicken scratch scribbles on this tiny piece of paper. Oh, I did want to throw in. So when I was going through that funk, like I said, I was still hit Success Club. I think I hit still like 42 in February and 20 something. So I was still like, my business was moving forward. And I wanted to just add in, and I think the reason why that is taking the time to plan. So even when you have those days or weeks of funk, you still have a solid plan so you can still move forward. And I'm sure Bria does this with you guys, but I create a calendar every month. That's totally key for me, so I know what to post what day, when I'm doing my big invite posts, when I'm sharing transformation stories, when I'm sharing, whatever about Shakeology or about coaching. And so I think having that solid plan kind of kept my business moving forward, even though I personally felt like drowning, but I was able to still keep that business because I took the time to create a solid plan and stick with it. And same with, you guys know, like the vital behaviors, tracking, all that stuff. So anyways, that's kind of all I have, is kind of mumbled jumbled. Hopefully that made sense, but that's kind of my thoughts on the staying out of the funk, kind of overcoming those small daily funks, and then those big funks. So Bria,
yeah, KARI,
you were going to talk. I'm sorry, and then I kept blabbing.
I think that's amazing, because what you shared, because sometimes we don't recognize the difference between the funks. Like there are these normal, like being, I probably in any job, but certainly in an entrepreneurial role, there are the normal like ebbs and flows of what we do, and to have a backup, to have a tool like what you said here with savers, just a reminder of something to fall back on is so important when we remember that, because it is really easy to start comparing yourself and or just kind of get off your own path, because we all know, like, when we feel good, it's so easy to be happy about what we're doing and we feel good in our bodies, and it's easy to share. But as soon as we stop feeling that feeling, it becomes very hard to share with others. So I love that you shared that tool with us. Were you doing, so you talked about in the bigger funk, I totally agree with you. The fact that you have a plan is so critical. Because like you said, like when you stop doing the consistent behaviors, then it's very hard to have that month of success or hit Success Club. But so were you doing the Miracle Morning as well during your big funk?
Yep. So I've been doing it consistently for the past year and a half. So that's what's funny is I was still doing this, but yet I still found myself in it was just a deeper funk, like not one.
Yeah.
It was like one that was like just a deeper, like I could still put a smile on my face and still be happy and excited, but it was like a heavier weight on my shoulders, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. I mean, and those are some of the tough things that we go through in life, whether they're, I mean, those are major things that you were going through all at once, between like the loss or the fear of the loss and the move and with Kirk being away, like so much going on there. Those are things that we hope don't happen often in our lives, but are inevitable. So it is nice to hear that, like, just having a plan to fall back on and making sure that you're doing those daily things, because I loved what you said at the beginning about not letting I think it's totally fine for you to take a day or two, but it's a very slippery slope to let that day become, since we're the engine of our business, if the engine stops for too long, then all of a sudden you really, if you're trying to build and create motivation, that really does stop the well from pumping, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I love when you talked about, like, going through that major funk, having that major breakdown, because sometimes I think it's like that lion hunt, like you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you can't go under it. Like, you just, sometimes when things are really hard, you have to just go through it to get to the other side. So that was really awesome. Thank you. That was incredible.
You're welcome. And I think honestly, like, we have to share that part too, because nobody, if we're only posting like sunshine and butterflies, like that is harder for people to relate to.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we feel like we have to be that way. Just, always positive and with our coach hat on, but it's crazy how much, like, when I shared that, like, and after I posted it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I share that? That's so embarrassing. Like, I just shared about this huge breakdown I just had. But so many people, like, they got your back and they realized, like, that we're just like them,
We're just people.
And everybody goes through, but nobody shares. And so it's just nice. It's like that whole, they have to like you, know you, and trust you. And the more you share about the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the more they can relate to you and like you. So I think sometimes like allowing ourselves to share about those funks we're going through, like, can actually really help our business, because people can relate to that. So
did you have to really work yourself up to that post?
No, it was honestly one where I was literally like sitting on the ground crying and just typing, and then I posted it, and then I was like, why did I just do that? So no, it was just like from the heart, like probably didn't even make sense type thing.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. That's amazing. Does anybody have any questions for KARI while she's here on the call with us? I want to share anything you're going through.
Sharon, you raise your hand. Go ahead.
It's not really a question. It's just a relate. And I just asked my husband to go get this for me. But in 2012, I went through this health scare and I had a double mastectomy. And I wrote out these 10 affirmations in 2012. And when I get in a funk, like I have been recently, I get them out and I use the same ones. And I'm reading this book right now, and every 5 or 6 pages, I post the affirmation. And I've been doing that for a week. And this week I got 4 new challengers. So
that is awesome.
Because I drag this out and put it back into my life, and I read it and I look at it thinking, yep, I need to do that, and I need to do that, and I need to tell myself that. But I purposely stick them in every few pages of my book so I know that I'm going to see them. So I totally relate to the affirmations, because since I start reading these again just last week, my life changed this week.
Totally. I am a huge believer in that. And like I said, you guys, I've been reading my, like, I am a rock star. You know, I say, I'm attracting rock star coaches. And I literally yell it. And that's my 4-year-old's like, Mom, why do you do that? But since I've been doing that, Sharon, like you said too, I've been attracting a lot more rock star people. And it's because, I don't know, it's like you're so right, of just reminding ourselves and putting that out into the universe like you do. You just bring it back. Thank you so much. I love that.
When I had it tucked away, it was tucked away and I didn't realize it, but a week ago I took it out and it definitely changed my life this week. 100%.
That is awesome. I love that.
So
I used to hang sticky notes all over my kitchen. So that's another thought, is just hanging sticky notes of your affirmations. So you're
I have 10 of them stuck. If anybody wants to, it's not rocket science. It's just 10 little notes that I stick around but it definitely works. So thank you for sharing that, because it made it just validated what I'm doing as well. So nice.
Oh, good. Thank you. Let's see, Michelle.
Yeah. Hi, KARI.
Hi there. Good to meet you.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. I've known Bria for like 15 years. So,
you're so lucky. She's so great.
Yes, she is. I trust that this works, and I know in my bones that this works. Like, I know it, and I'm totally there, and I totally like have confidence. And now I'm getting coaches underneath me, and I want them to do what it takes to be successful, because I feel like I know, and I do it every day, and I'm like continuing to grow, and it's becoming so automatic for me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, when you talked about having coaches and how to get them to perform, I was like, that is so where I'm at right now. And I don't know like what to do differently. Like, I am trying so hard, and I have no doubt that I can do what it takes to make my business successful. But now it's like, what do I do with these people? Totally, like, come on.
Right. Totally. I go through this all the time too.
I don't know if you can just speak about that, or what your experience is.
I honestly wish I knew the secret here, because this is what I'm constantly picking Bria's brain about, is like, I'm the same way. I believe in this so much, but how do you find the people? My thoughts on this is, how did you get, Michelle? Like, how did you get to that point where you felt like that you were converted or whatever, like that you got like your testimony? Like, what brought you there? What experiences?
What a good question. I basically had to follow the system, and I had to do the daily coaching worksheet and just say, you know what, Michelle, this is the thing you have to do every single day, hands down. Like, just like the consistency. Like, I thought I was consistent before, and now I'm like, you know what, every day I have a list, I do my list, no matter what, I do it. Like, and I do those things every single day. And it's like, I really know in my bones that the kind of intermittent effort is not going to get you there. Like, you have to do it every day, and the results will come. And that's the thing that I know, and I need people to know that. And it's just like, you guys, like, come on, just do these things every day, and you will get success. And it will take time. Like, what you do this month, you know, you may not see any success from that until a month from now, 6 months from now, but I know that it works. And so it's like, I've seen that now, and I need people to just believe.
Right. Totally. I think to answer that question, I think it kind of helps me to kind of go back, like, how did I get to where I'm unshakable in my belief of like, I'm not going to give up on this because I know it'll work. And so for me, it was listening to national wake-up calls and hearing other people's stories. Going to events was huge for me in gaining like my Beachbody testimony, knowing, like, hearing from top coaches and seeing what it could change. So that's, and for you, like, if it was actually doing the tracker and experiencing success, I think just going back to how you got to where you did and just maybe trying to recreate that. I don't know. I think too, going back to that vision of, people have to have a deeper why of why they're doing it. If it's just, I want to help people, you know, when things get hard, like, they're not going to stick around. And And so I think having that deeper vision of that why. I'm sure Bria has a lot more insight on this than I do, but
I think what you say makes a lot of sense, right? Because you have to know why you started. Like, you have to know, like, you know, and then just to have that unshakable, like, I am not going to quit. Like, punch me in the face 50 times, break all my limbs. I'm not going to quit. Like, I don't quit.
That's awesome. See,
Bria's
and I'm that
laughing
way
because
too.
she
It's
knows.
like, where are my people? There's more of me out there. And I think you're right. You'll find those people because they are out there. And just thinking of what attracted you to this. What attracted you to the opportunity? What made you so converted, so convicted? And trying to recreate that for your own coaches, whether it's, you know, I went to this event and it was like life-changing, or I did my tracker for a month and it changed my business, you know, whatever it might be, of trying to recreate that for your team. I don't know. Bria, were you going to talk? Sorry.
Okay, now I just realized, now when you're saying that, I just realized what the real question is. How do you get through? How do you get it through? Because, man, I won't stop trying to spread the word, but it's like, how do you get it through?
I love that question. And I have a suggestion just on that. Is I remember hearing someone share an analogy, and I'm sure I've said it before, where, you know, in this journey, like whether you're attracting challengers or coaches, if you imagine that everyone is like a clock, like their time is not always going to be the time when you ask them. But if you're continuously on your journey of inviting, because you're here endlessly because you love it, because it's good for you and it's the right thing for you, and you have your why so clear, eventually the clock strikes their number and they will be ready and they will join you. And as long as you're there working and growing yourself as a leader, then they will join you, and they'll be and some won't be ready, and some will come and they'll be ready and they'll be there and then they'll leave. Like there is a lot of that, and all of that stuff can be really tough. But I think if we're constantly growing ourselves and our leadership ability, the only other tip I have that I heard that I loved so much was the best way to breathe life into your team is to build a new one. You always need to be adding and adding, because you never know who else is going to join your team that's going to motivate the others when you become sort of a more unified crew of something that's bigger than us, right? When we become a team that is bigger than just one person and this one person's mission, people stay around and they start to believe in it a little bit more because it's a movement, which is why showing up to events, I think, is so important for people, because they become to feel a part of something bigger than them. And that's why challenge groups work, because challengers feel like they're here for other people as well and not just themselves. So some of that, I think, is just timing and our leadership growth. And then some of it, I think, is just the consistency over time that starts to happen.
I remember you telling me that before too. Like, you can do anything possible, but sometimes coaches just don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, right? I mean, I'm the kind of person that really reflects on myself. I don't point fingers and say, whatever, you shouldn't have done this, or maybe you should pick things up. I'm like, what am I doing so that, like, how is it my responsibility for their performance? Like, I just take it on. I'm like, I have to do something. And it's hard because you kind of have to pull back a little bit because it's their thing.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah. The best advice, you know, in all of this, I would say is, that I was given is run with the runners. You have to love people where they're at, because this is an individual journey, and run with the runners, the ones who are ready to go at your pace. Be that pace bunny. Awesome. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions for KARI? Thank you, KARI. This is so great.
You should probably set an alarm on your phone to go off at noon every day and yell out loud to yourself that your team is amazing and that we're working hard, and you're going to start attracting it. I mean, that's my best advice right there.
I like it. No, I like it. That's good. I'll scare my kids.
I feel like you're totally going to do that.
I'm not that weird, but I do say it out loud. Anyways.
Thank you guys so much. KARI, thank you for this time tonight. I know it's sort of a primo dinner hour there on the West Coast, so thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for some
value. So.
Cool. Then I've kind of recaptured like what you've said there, so I'll make sure to post it in Successfit. But thank you guys for showing up, for being here. I will post the recording to catch again later. But KARI, have a great evening, and
thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye. And for anyone who's in the Emerald to Diamond, Dash to Diamond, who wants to stay on and ask any questions, I will stay on. But everyone else, thanks for being here tonight, and we'll see you soon.